A time to take stock and a time to outline and assess the priorities for UK foreign policy for the year ahead. A wide-ranging address then to the House of Commons from the British Foreign Secretary.
Every year seems like an important year in foreign policy, but 2009 promises what I think is a unique combination of dangers and opportunities. The dangers: a global economic crisis, an unremitting terrorist threat, a closing window of opportunity to bring a two-state solution to the Middle East, the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. In Africa, crises in Somalia, Sudan, Congo and Zimbabwe. But it would be a mistake, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to become so mired in challenges that we overlook the opportunities, not least a new US administration that is committed to joint action on shared priorities in Afghanistan and Pakistan, on climate change and global warming, and on nuclear non-proliferation and international institutional reform.
Mr. Miliband turned to the situation with Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Our first focus in the battle against extremism remains Afghanistan and Pakistan. The federally administered tribal areas and the border region are a crucible of insecurity and instability. President-elect Obama has identified the region as a top priority when he assumes office on 20th of January. So in 2009 we will work with our allies and with the governments of Afghanistan and Pakistan to strengthen democratic government.
On British troop roles and responsibilities in Afghanistan in the future.
In Afghanistan, foreign troops will continue to be needed to provide the space for diplomatic and civilian efforts and to face down the insurgency. Of 50,000 NATO troops on the ground, 8,000 or 8,100 are British forces, making us the second largest military contributor. But if we want to build Afghanistan's capacity to defend itself, which after all is why we are there, we need to focus on training and mentoring of the Afghan National Army. We have already helped to train about 65,000 members of the Afghan army, and I think it's striking that any time I've been to Afghanistan, the greatest testimony to those troops comes from our own forces who talk about going on patrol with Afghan forces and the trust that they have in them.
Next year, he said, would be crucial in political development.
With elections planned, 2009 and 2010 will be critical years for Afghanistan, presidential elections and then parliamentary elections. We need to help the government register voters and to provide security so that people are free to cast their votes. In Pakistan, we will continue to support the government and work to cement the democratic transition in these very difficult times, not least through the multilateral Friends of Democratic Pakistan group, first convened in September.
He then turned to the situation in the Middle East.
It's increasingly apparent to me that the only solution in the Middle East is a genuinely comprehensive solution, what I call a 23-state solution that ties in not just Israel and Palestine, but all the countries of the Arab League, building on the Arab Peace Initiative of 2002. The logic is simple. Only a comprehensive solution offers Israel what it really craves: stability and security in the region. And only with Arab political support will the Palestinians be willing and able to do a deal. So the government will work hard towards a comprehensive solution over the coming year. It will mean working closely with Israel, always a beacon of democracy in the region, it's worth remembering, in the run-up to elections in February and beyond. It will also mean further concerted work with the Palestinian Authority on security and economic development. And it will mean more systematic engagement with the Arab world, including Syria, which faces big choices in 2009, but has a big opportunity to contribute to regional stability.
And then on to Zimbabwe.
The long-term future does depend on political change. There is unanimity across the House on the cause of Zimbabwe's descent into ruin, the government of Robert Mugabe. There was also unanimity last July when the government urged the UN Security Council to apply direct pressure to the regime. I hope there can be unanimity today in honest explanation to the British public that there is no solution in Zimbabwe without the engagement of neighbouring African countries, that we should remain committed to offering our support for a broad-based government that reflects the March election results, that the UN is an appropriate forum to discuss the issue, because there is no way Zimbabwe can be considered a quote-unquote internal affair, and that we reiterate again and again our commitment and preparation to help the people of Zimbabwe with thoroughgoing economic, social and political support when they have a government that can credibly advance their interests rather than abuse them.
Obviously, a full programme of foreign policy for the year ahead.